Hello, my name is Dr. Alan Dennis. I want to talk to you today about a book I wrote that came out this December on the 18th of 2023. So it's a relatively new book about building Databricks lakehouses using the Databricks platform. And it's organized into a cookbook format so that the things that are discussed are broken down into very bite sized pieces, very actionable, very reusable sort of components, if you will. The book is organized into kind of sections. We start off by talking about our background, the history, how we got where we are. The first chapter goes into that in a fair amount of detail of why we think lake houses are a good thing and why we think they should be built. How did we get here, and how do you use them to be effective? And then the next step is to go and actually provision, if you don't have one, a Databricks workspace. And I talk about that on the various clouds that are available that support it. So AWS, GCP, and of course Azure. And then once you have a workspace, you probably want to start creating a lake. So we talk about then the process of going through setting up a lake. We start with connecting to storage because Databricks is a processing technology, not a storage technology. So you need to be able to connect to some sort of cloud-based storage to actually house the data that you're using. Then we talk about creating delta tables, and delta tables are one of the foundational components of a lake house. They allow us to have a lot of the things that are very similar to a database, but do so inside of a commodity storage sort of technology like a lake. And then we close out that section by taking a look at how you do profiling of the data that you're going to be using whenever you bring it into your lake house. And also, when you get that data in and you've made it to where it is useful, how would you want to represent that data inside of the tables that are going to be built, and what sort of model? We talk about modeling approaches that are used inside of lake houses as well. So you've got a lake that's set up, you know a bit of where you're going to get your data, and then what you're going to do with it. So that moves us to the next section, which is around ingesting and transforming data. And these are where we go out and grab data from a source system and load it into the bronze layer. The bronze layer is relatively simple to understand. It is similar to what you would do with raw storage, except everything is inside of the Delta format. Also, we don't do much when we're putting stuff into it. You attempt to return the data to the state it was before it was put into whatever thing that let it end up where you got it into your system. So if you have data coming off of a sensor, sometimes we do some stuff like turning it into a base64 string so that we can send it across. And then you want to undo that stuff and turn it back into a JSON payload, likely. And you might do that targeting a bronze table, but not much more. Once you've got that data in the bronze layer, you want to move it to the silver layer. The silver layer is where we actually do the work to make it useful for the business users. Things that are silver are trusted. They're usable. They are good to go as far as it goes with technology wise, as them being correct, but they don't really answer any kind of specific questions, but do allow you to ask more general ones. If you have a specific question that the business needs an answer to, and you need to create a table for that purpose, so you have a dashboard that needs to be using some sort of table to provide its answers to users, that's going to be a gold table. And we create gold tables for specific purposes. You can use data out of both bronze or out of silver and gold, but gold was there because somebody wanted it, not just because it came in from some external system. So you've got a lake, it's got stuff in it. You want to use it. That's the whole point of doing this stuff, is to actual gain that business value out of the stuff that you've got in your lake and that you previously wasn't accessible across the various parts of the environment. We talk about machine learning and data science, so that's a common persona. People that do analysis often like to do it against a lake house. That's one of the real benefits it has over a data warehouse. It's very challenging to do things like machine learning and data science against those systems. They weren't built for it, and the Lakehouse can handle that, as well as SQL analysis of users that know SQL. They want to answer questions using a simple language that's been around forever. And so we let them use a thing called SQL warehouses inside of Databricks to extract information out of your silver and gold tables. And we also talk a bit about graph analysis. That's a bit more of an advanced topic. It's around mathematical graphs and why we do that sort of processing for certain situations. And then we move into visualizations because, generally speaking, when you get an answer, if it's not pretty, people aren't going to be too impressed. So you need to be able to show it using either the internal visualizations that are available to you inside of Databricks or external systems like Power BI. Once you've got this lake up and running, you want to make sure you keep it that way. And that's where we talk about maintaining the lake house. And in particular, things like governance, making sure that the data inside of it is what you want it to be, is trusted. You know what happened to it. That it's of a certain type of thing and so on. All of those data governance things that we do. Operations, who do you tell when something doesn't work? Who do you contact? How do you recover automatically? And so on. Those sort of things are discussed of the mechanics of keeping that engine running smooth. And then we close out the book with tips, tricks, and troubleshooting and best practices. It's a long title, but it is basically the stuff that the name says. We give you some tips to help you along the way to avoid some of the painful lessons that some of us might have learned over the years, as well as tricks to accomplish things that you may not necessarily are supposed to do, but we talk about how to do some of those. Troubleshooting whenever things go badly. What do you do? How do you figure out what's wrong? And then close out with best practices of some guidance and general principles to help you build a good, well-maintained, and trusted lakehouse for your organization. That's the organization of the book at a very high level. The chapters are kind of organized in that fashion. And I thank you for watching this video. If you have questions about it, please let me know. Stay safe. We'll talk again soon.